Are you tired of decluttering challenges that feel like a chore? After years as a professional organizer, I tested a relaxed 10-day experiment with no strict rules or trackers that made decluttering feel more effortless. So in this video, I'm going to show you how this easy, low pressure strategy could help you quickly purge more than you thought possible. Over my 10 days of leaning into decluttering, I ended up tackling 8 categories of stuff. It is very rare that my husband Scott actually wants to purge some more of something than I do. He has been supportive of decluttering and living with less from the very beginning. But almost always I'm the one who brings up, hey, should we get rid of that? Or do we really need this anymore? However, the first area we tackled was actually an area that Scott was like, Marian, why do we own any of these? He wanted to get rid of them all. Area number 1 that we reviewed were masks. I have been debating about masks for a while now. So what was the one thing that pushed me over the edge to finally tackle this? It was one very basic thing. I took them out of the closet. That's it. If you watched my recent video about how much we own in 6 everyday categories, and I showed how many masks we owned, as soon as I took the basket out and did like a quick clip and did a quick count, I was like, okay, there's no way I can put this back in the closet without decluttering. I have to tackle this. The kids were home on this particular day, so I called them over and I had them try on a few masks, and we all sort of kind of discussed what we need and what we don't need. And we ended up letting go of 7 masks total. Next up was an area that I have been thinking about a lot lately. My kids have finally got to the age where they can play games and cards pretty independently, or with Scott and I, and it's actually pretty fun. If anyone has school-age kids and they have never played trash, it's really addicting and we're really into it lately. Give it a shot. So anyway, now that we grab for the cards pretty regularly, I've been noticed that area has like a bunch of stuff that I just know we weren't grabbing for. So since the kids were home that day, I thought might as well pull that out and have like a quick review of what's in there. Category number 2 that we tackled were cards, board games, and puzzles. Honestly, I wish I could say I made more progress in this category. As soon as I started jumped in and looking through things, both of the kids were like, no, we play with that. No, we play with that. And honestly, neither of them are really extreme in terms of keeping things. And they normally are fine to let go of anything that they don't truly use, which made me think, okay, maybe they do use some of these things. I know it's a super common joke for us to be, arguing and fighting with our kids about things to get rid of and things to keep. But honestly, with our family, it's actually pretty easy usually. So how did I get to this point where this sort of thing doesn't just drive me crazy? Honestly, just practice and time. Being able to trust the kids took us doing tiny little sessions just like this over the past 7 years. They know that I'm not going to pressure them into getting rid of anything unless we actually need to for space, like to fit everything in a drawer or a cupboard or in their bedroom. And I know if they truly don't care about something, they're not going to make a big stink about it. And I can also tell when sometimes it's just not the right time to ask them about something. We all know our kids and our partners. And if I bring up questions about getting rid of things and when they're just not in the mood, I know it's just not gonna work. So on this particular day, maybe it was just bad timing, or maybe they genuinely do play these cards. But either way, I was able to get rid of 2 little sets of cards that we can pass along. Next up is a great example of how practicing with the kids has really been to our advantage. We live in a lovely little neighborhood with so many sweet people. A lot of the neighbors are empty nesters or soon to be empty nesters, and they're all very generous in terms of giving us stuff for the kids that their kids have outgrown and don't use anymore. And recently we had a neighbor give us a huge whiteboard that they no longer needed with a big bag of markers and an eraser in there. As soon as Annie Rose got home and saw it, she was so excited, so happy. The kids have been using it quite a bit. But the first thing she said when she saw everything, she's like, okay, I'm gonna sort through those markers and decide which ones I wanna keep and which ones I'm gonna get rid of. And I did not bring this up at all. She just looked at the bag and she probably knew, okay, there's no way I can manage 20 markers or however many there were. And she was excited about finding ones that she loved the most. We ended up letting go of 6 markers that can be donated. They all work, but that she just didn't want. I will 100% confirm this doesn't work the exact same with everyone. Our oldest, Leo, who's 8, he's not super sentimental about stuff, and whenever I bring up decluttering, he goes along with it, but he would also never bring up a project like this. And that is absolutely positively fine. I don't think everyone needs to be super excited about the process. But if you want any chance of getting your family on board with decluttering, I give one single piece of advice to anybody who asks me this. To keep decluttering your own stuff. Whenever I start to get annoyed with like the kids' toys or Scott's work area or his hockey jerseys, I remind myself my areas still aren't complete. So let's go back there. It's hard for us to justify, being annoyed with our kids for all their toys when our own closets are a giant mess and overflowing drawers. And ideally with time, this is going to rub off on them. It might take years, but if they start to see these clutter-free, organized spaces, that is naturally going to have an impact on them. It's going to inspire them. So if you want them on board, I suggest going back and working on the areas that are under your control. And the next category is the perfect follow-up to this topic. You guys might remember that a few months ago, I actually created a whole gift basket for a friend of mine for her birthday, included a bunch of things, and then I ended up remind myself it was a terrible idea, scrapping it all and giving her a gift card for the wine shop. One of the items was a pack of scrunchies, and I'd already taken it out of the packaging, so I wasn't able to return it. So in that moment, I just ended up tossing them into our hair accessory drawer in our bathroom, and that's where they've lived ever since. I am finally ready to deal with these. So category number 4 that we dealt with was our hair accessory drawer in our bathroom. And just like the last one, Annie Rose joined in, which was actually very helpful because 50 to 75% of these items, or 90% probably, are hers. We've done this exact space together so many times that I knew it would be so quick. First step is we took everything out. Secondly, we made a pile of items that we knew we definitely loved. If you're able to do this quickly and just sort of follow your instinct, it's usually pretty effective. Obviously, I know the favorite scrunchies and elastics and clips that we use day in and day out.
This one's really, really small.
I know. That's a go. This I do like. This is go.
Next, we made a pile of garbage. So stuff that's ripped or there's no elastic left in it, things like that. And then we had another pile of items that were still good, but we didn't want, that we knew we could donate. Sometimes, honestly, I find Annie Rose to be even more ruthless than me. She's a typical 7-year-old girl, so she likes unicorns and pink and all that kind of stuff. But for whatever reason, she admitted that she just did not like these little rainbow or colored striped clips that she just couldn't stand. So no problem, fine, let's get rid of them. Once we finished sorting everything, we reset the drawer and boom, it was done. This was several days ago, and I now love opening this drawer again instead of thinking, I need to get this under control every single time I opened it. It's like an item off my silent to-do list. All right, next up was another category that I think I actually did the same day, but I knew I wanted to do when the kids were not around. One of my friends gave me a pair of her old gold hoop earrings that she never wore and she knew she didn't care about. And I love gold hoop earrings. And so she knew I would like them and I was very excited to get them. They were basically brand new. I don't know if she'd ever worn them. But I also knew that meant I probably didn't need my old hoop earrings that I still had in my jewelry box. I also knew that my jewelry box in general needed a little bit of TLC, so that's what we tackled next. And guess what strategy I used for tackling this small space? The exact same one I just used in my bathroom. Right away, I pulled out everything that I knew I wore all the time, which was super easy for me because I love wearing pretty much the exact same jewelry all the time. And the rest of it is pretty much just sentimental. I let go of a bunch of earrings that I hadn't worn in years. And there was actually a watch that Scott was gifted a couple of years ago. And he really likes it. He likes the idea of it, but he never actually wear it. So he was the one who just said, you know what, Marianne, just let that go. I did a basic kind of rejig of the area so that I was able to easily see the items that I wear all the time. And then the ones that were more sentimental and just keepsakes, I tucked away into a little bag and a little box. So another pile of items gone in a matter of maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes. Next up is an area that I declutter pretty much the exact same way almost all the time. When I'm getting dressed in the morning and I try something on and then I realize, I just not in the mood for this today, no problem, perfect. I just put it back, hang it back up or put it back in my drawer, no hard feelings. But when I start to do that with the same items over and over again, that's when I know it's time to question whether I even like it anymore. Category number 6 that I decluttered in my 10 days of no pressure decluttering was clothing, and specifically the little pile of clothing that I'd created on my bedroom floor over the entire summer. This pile are all items that I finally got tired of passing on and finally accepted that I didn't just not want them in that moment, I just didn't want them at all. This included a pair of sandals that I'd honestly probably tried on 20 times and I had never worn them out of the house. There was a sundress that I really did love a few summers ago and I probably wore it 100 times that summer. But the last time I tried it on, Scott made a comment about it and he never says anything about my clothes and he probably didn't mean anything by it, but he just mentioned that something like, oh, it wasn't his favorite. And I can't stop thinking about it. I can never wear it again. I've tried it on so many times and I just can't do it because that's all I think about. There's also 2 tank tops, one that was too big for me and one that was like just had become too see-through for my comfort level. If the thought of decluttering your closet or your dresser makes you like kind of sick to your stomach, then I would definitely suggest trying this strategy. Just maybe assess 1 or 2 items that you haven't worn in a while or that you've tried on and said pass to. I actually love this strategy of just tossing these items like in a pile on the floor. It sounds very not like professional organizer of me, but I kind of love that when I go to grab these items to actually officially declutter them, it almost gives me like a second chance to assess them. And for me, this is an easy confirmation that I definitely didn't want them. I'm actually so excited to get them out of my house and off of my bedroom floor. Next up was also an item of clothing, sort of, but not mine. Last month we had got home from a long day out with the kids. I can't remember what we were doing. I was upstairs tucking them in, getting them ready for bed, getting myself ready for bed. And I came back downstairs and I remember just saying, oh my gosh, what is that smell? And it was Scott's shoes. You know when running shoes get to that point that no amount of like washing or baby powder or deodorizer is going to even make a dent? That was Scott's running shoes. In his defense, he's had them for many years and put many miles on them. And luckily, this was right after his birthday. So he had a little bit of birthday money. So he decided to use it to get a new pair of running shoes. He went out, picked out a pair that he absolutely loves. He's super happy and our house smells a lot better. And because we practiced the 1 in, 1 out rule, I instantly said, so does that mean that we can let a pair go? And he decided to keep his old running shoes, the smelly ones, as his lawn cutting shoes, which was fine. So item number 7 was his existing lawn cutting shoes, which we could get rid of. Any sort of habit for letting go of items that have been replaced is going to be so beneficial in moving you towards this like clutter-free home. Lastly, are a group of items that I get rid of every single week. During my 10 days of leaning into decluttering, I found myself seeing things to get rid of that were kind of no-brainers, but that easily go unnoticed if you aren't keeping an eye out for them. There was a collection of handmade crafts from the kids on our mantle. They weren't anything special that I wanted to keep. These were just things that they made, you know, at camp during quiet time, or maybe they created them at the library during craft time. I think there was a balloon that we got from like a free community event that I don't even remember what it was. But part of our leaning in also included pulling out our sectional and finding all sorts of treasures under there, some that just needed to be rehomed, like quarters and socks and markers, but there was also some small items that could get tossed or donated. I'm calling this final category everyday items. It could also be called zero effort items, because these are the items that are constantly coming in and I'm constantly coming across them and ideally constantly getting rid of them. So on days when you're like, oh, I'm so stuck with clutter, I don't know what to do, I would suggest starting with these. Instead of letting these items pile up, by just being a little bit of mindful, just putting a little bit of intention behind these items and letting them go, we are one step closer to a clutter-free home. And or if you're already dealing with these items, then you are already decluttering. So maybe there's a chance you're actually already decluttering more than you thought. Okay, that is a wrap on my 10 days of gentle decluttering. I didn't have a goal or a timer or a tracker. However, I did want to see how much of a dent we made with this strategy. It was a total of 56 items. It was a combination of clothes and shoes, paperwork, freebies, household items, bathroom products. If rigid strategies stress you out, this one might be worth trying. How many items could you get rid of if you just leaned into decluttering for a week or 2? More importantly, how would it feel? If anyone does this, I would love to hear about it. And if you love watching hands-on decluttering videos, check out my first ever behind the scenes of a client project right here. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.